These three shades right... Whoops. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Any of you that are lovers of drugstore makeup out there are especially gonna love this video today because I am talking about 8 drugstore products that I think are better than high-end. This is kind of like my all-star team of drugstore makeup. I do just want to say one thing, there are no eyeshadow palettes in this video, although I do have a lot of drugstore eyeshadows that I really love. I tend to judge eyeshadows a little bit differently. There's a lot of things to consider when talking about like an eyeshadow palette, so I kind of left those out of this one, even though there's lots that I love. I could name a few: Essence, Wet n Wild, ColourPop, which I consider drugstore, but we have other things in here. So I have a foundation, a concealer, lip gloss, blush. I even have a couple of nail polishes that are crazy cheap, and I think they are better than some of my higher end ones, my more expensive ones. So we're gonna talk about it today. Before we do, if you've been watching me for a while, I'm curious to know if you can guess any of these, so leave a guess or two down in the comments below. Before we get into the makeup, a special welcome if you are new here. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoy this one, and I hope you'll consider subscribing before you leave. And with that said, I know you guys are dying to see what I picked, so let's get right to it. Why don't we kind of start in the order that I apply my makeup. So let's start with a foundation. This is an old favorite of mine that has been neglected for a while, and I've recently started using it again, and I cannot put it down. I'm talking about the Flower Beauty Light Illusion foundation. I know this foundation has been around for quite a while. It's been a favorite of mine for a long time, but I have just very severely neglected this for the last year, which is not that unusual. I tend to neglect favorite products of mine because I'm constantly trying new stuff out. But this one I recently pulled back out again, and I was just wowed at how good this looks on my face, which I knew that before, but for some reason I just feel like I had kind of forgotten that, and I've had a hard time putting this down ever since. So I have 2 shades here. Nude L3 is kind of the shade that matches me pretty well right now, as long as I don't have any self tanner on. Sometimes I'll mix in a little bit of my Tawny M4. I know I just got done talking about this in a recent video or two, but man, you guys, I can't stop using this. I have a whole bunch of other foundations on top of my shelf here. My Dior, I've got my L'Oreal, I have one from Milani, and I've just been ignoring those because this has been the star for me. The packaging is also really high-end feeling. This is a really nice glass bottle, and by the way, the pump of this one, this is one of the few pumps that works extremely well for me. So some of my higher end pumps, like in my NARS foundation and my ABH foundation, they have some minor issues. This is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I know I've talked about it before, but this is like the best pump that I own. This one and the one in the new NYX concealer. Mechanically speaking, in my opinion, those are 2 of the very best pumps. Just all around, this is just a great foundation. I don't know why I fell back asleep on this one, because after pulling it back out, it's pretty much my dream foundation. It's everything that I love in a good foundation. Medium coverage, very hydrating, dewy without being overly greasy or luminous. It's just perfect for me. I love it. Next up, I have a concealer. It is the Revlon Candid concealer. So I have to give a quick disclaimer. In my last concealer ranking video that I did a couple of months ago, I excluded this concealer because I thought it had been officially discontinued. I couldn't find it anywhere online. They had cleared them out of the 2 drugstores nearby me. I haven't seen them back in the drugstores, but I have seen these reappear online. You can now find them online at Target and also on the Revlon website. So I am reclaiming them today and mentioning them again. I am such a fan of the Revlon Candid concealer. I think I have 3 of them open right now and 3 or 4 on backup because they put them on clearance and I was afraid they were discontinuing them, so I bought like 7 of them. This is such a fantastic concealer for me. It gives great coverage. I'd say it has like high medium coverage, but it is a little bit thicker without being pasty, so you can get this to cover some pretty intense stuff without too much trouble. The formula is great. It's hydrating, but it's not greasy. It doesn't slide around. It doesn't crease too badly on me as long as I don't use too much. Just a great concealer. I've been using it again recently, and it's every bit as good as my Dior concealer. Honestly, I love that concealer, but it is pricey, so if you can get your hands on this one for like $6, it's incredible. Next up, a bronzer. We're going back to Flower Beauty. I have to talk about this bronzer again. I know you guys are sick of it. I have been talking about this so much lately that it's probably driving you crazy. So I have a brand new one here. This is the Flower Beauty Heat Wave Bronzer in the shade Sunrise L1. There is something about this bronzer that it is so good that it's actually made me change my mind on some of my other bronzers that I used to really like. I now find the shades of them to be a little bit too warm or a little bit off or a little bit too orange. I just am loving the shade of this bronzer for my skin tone right now. I know that I've mentioned this the last several times that I've talked about this bronzer, but again, in case you're new here, you missed some of those videos. I know not all of you watch every single one of my videos, but the shade of this bronzer is so incredibly unique. It's a bronzer, but it has this like blushy quality to it, but it's also kind of slightly cooler in tone, so it sculpts and warms and blushes kind of all at the same time. Like you could use this alone on your cheeks, and it even has a tiny bit of a sheen to it. So you could use this as the only product on your cheeks and not even bother with the highlighter and blush and be perfectly fine, perfectly content. It is beautiful. The formula of this reminds me a lot of like the Hourglass formula, but I actually pulled my Hourglass bronzer out a few weeks ago again, and it was so much warmer than this one that I didn't know that I liked it on my skin anymore. Maybe my tastes have just changed recently as far as what I prefer on my cheeks. Maybe it's just a phase that I'm going through right now, but there is just something so special and lovely about especially the shade of this bronzer. If you have light to fair skin, this is the bronzer. Anytime someone asks me for a bronzer recommendation and their skin is more fair, this is the one that I recommend, because there's just something about this shade that I think works really well for people with lighter skin, especially those that don't like bronzers that go orange on them. So I just got this brand new one in because my last one shattered, as I mentioned in a recent video. I went to throw that one away once this one came in the mail, and I couldn't do it. I could not bring myself to throw that thing in the trash. So I thought to myself, and again, this is like the frugal part of me that kind of takes over, the part of me that I inherited from my grandma who used to wash styrofoam plates. Rather than throw it in the trash, I thought to myself, all that good product in there, what if I find a container that I can like crush it up and use it as like a loose bronzer? So I got this old Becca powder. I actually dumped the powder out because I was not wild about this powder in the first place. I was actually trying to pry open this top right here, and I was using a tiny little razor blade. Don't try this at home, friends. And the razor blade slipped and sliced my fingertip, and I actually had to get stitches. Like I had to run up to the Instacare and get myself 7 stitches, which a few of you noticed in a couple videos back where I had a nasty looking finger. I'm sorry about that, probably made you gag. But I mentioned this slightly shameful story to highlight how much I love this bronzer and how I was unwilling to even throw it away. I'm sure I'm gonna regret that decision once I get that $200 check from Instacare in order to save like a $10 bronzer. But I had to share that because I can kind of laugh about it now, and it really did show that I could not even throw that away because I love it so much. Moving on, gotta talk about a blush, also from Flower Beauty. Seen a theme here? This is the Flower Beauty Gel Crush Lip and Cheek. You guys, these are just so good. If I was playing a game where there was like a timer running and I had to like say my very favorite blush within like 2 seconds, like this is probably the one that I would mention, because as much as I love so many other blushes, I have so many that I love. I mean, I feel like I'm a traitor for saying this because I can see them staring at me right now. But there's just something that is perfection about this product. It works great for the cheeks. Their color range is really good. I love all of them. I don't know that I could pick a favorite per se. I think if I could pick just 2, I'd probably go with Peach Crush and Strawberry Crush, like the light pink one, and then the more like peachy pink one, because I feel like those would like cover both my bases. But today I'm actually wearing a Blackberry Crush on my cheeks, which is also beautiful. If you have more like a medium to deep skin, I think the Blackberry one or the citrus one, this like much more vibrant orange one, would be gorgeous on you. The formulas are great. They're nice and creamy, but they're not overly glossy or sticky or kind of creamy or buttery feeling. So if you don't like things that feel tacky or gonna move around on your cheeks, these won't do that. They're a little bit more kind of like moderately creamy. They also work well on the lips. They have a very soft, pleasant scent that I love. The packaging's great. Honestly, these are so good. I've been a long time fan, and every time I pull them back out, they definitely can hold their own against some of my favorite high-end blushes. Next up, I have a highlighter. It is the Revlon Skin Lights highlighter. So I recently pulled this out, and it has completely taken over my other highlighters. I have not been reaching for my Jaclyn highlighter anymore, which was like a favorite of mine a couple of weeks ago. I also have my MAC Double Gleam in my stash right now. I have my Essence Pure Nude. The Essence Pure Nude, I would almost mention that one if you like something a little bit softer, not quite as intense. This one is like the Essence Pure Nude on steroids. It's a little bit more impactful, a little bit more intense, but it's not chunky or glittery in any way. It still has a really nice like sheen to it that's so pretty but still intense, which I do love my intense highlighters. I love the shade of this one. It's a gold that's not overly yellow, so if you have more fair skin, I think this gold would probably work for you, even if your skin's quite light. It is glorious. In fact, I'm starting to notice a little like, you know the speckles, like the little dots in the pan that you start to see as you're getting close to the pan? I feel like I'm starting to see those already, so I might be hitting pan on this pretty soon, especially if I keep using it at the rate that I have been lately. I really do feel that this is one of the best highlighters that I currently own in my entire collection. It is absolutely incredible. Everything about it is perfect. If you like a more intense highlighter, let me just swatch it on the back of my hand, because who doesn't love a good highlighter swatch? That is just so pretty. In fact, let's just add a little bit more, because you can never have too much highlighter. Actually, you can of this one, but that's okay. I'm gonna do it anyways. If I go anywhere, I can wipe some of this off, but I just want to show you guys this thing in action. I mean, just look at that. It is so beautiful. Definitely is good, if not better, than most of my high-end highlighters. I did try the bronzers that came out in this Skin Lights packaging. I didn't like the bronzer. I thought it was way too warm, but the highlighter, by the way, the shade Daybreak Glimmer 201, is impeccable. Now for a mascara. This one probably won't surprise you guys. If you were to do this video, you probably mentioned this one as well. It's the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. I've been reacquainted with this one thanks to you guys for the last 6 months. Actually, it's been a while now. I've probably had this for almost a year now. I should probably replace it, but I'm wearing it on my lashes today. I've been wearing it a lot more recently, and man, you guys, this is just so good. So good. I cannot believe this thing is $5. It's definitely as good as some of my best high-end mascaras. I mean, this competes with my Pat McGrath, even though that one's a little different. It like gives my lashes a slightly different look. If you are looking for some drama in a mascara from the drugstore, this is the one I recommend. It is volumizing, it's lengthening, it holds my curl pretty well, it wears pretty well on me. However, it's not very water resistant, so just be aware of that. But man, you guys, this is just so great. I know everyone loves this mascara. It's been raved about on YouTube here for like 10 years, and still I think it's one of the best out there. Okay, we've got just 2 more. I have a lip gloss. Had to mention the Maybelline Lifter Gloss. This is such a good gloss, you guys. I have neglected my Fenty glosses, my Persona glosses, because of this thing right here. It's just so great. The packaging is very high-end, like it feels very fancy. It has this like hydraulic thing where you open the lid and it like pops itself up. It just feels very fancy. The formula is fantastic. It's the perfect gloss that's not too sticky, but it also gives a little bit of color, especially if you get the ones that aren't sheer. This is the shade Silk, which is what I'm wearing on my lips today. Let me give it a swatch for you guys. I also really love the shade Opal, which is more sheer and has a little bit of sparkle in it. Both are stunning. They smell amazing, which you guys know is very important to me. It smells like vanilla cake mix, which I love. Who doesn't love vanilla cake mix? It's just all around a really good gloss from the drugstore that feels like it's not drugstore. Everything about this does not feel like a drugstore gloss, from the packaging to the scent to the formula itself and the colors. They're amazing. That brings us to my last thing, which is the nail polish. I know I've talked about this a few times over the last year or two. I think I mentioned them in a recent favorites video. It is the LA Colors Color Last nail polishes. I have a couple other shades of these that don't wear as well, or I just don't like the shades of them. So they have some strange shades, but these 3 shades right here are all perfect. If you like nude, feminine kind of nails, you will love all of these shades. This one's more of like a mid-tone. This one's more of like a beige. It's just very flattering on the nails. The one I'm wearing on my nails today is the shade Love, which is like the light pink. By the way, this grayish one is called Eternal. And then this one, which is so great for fall, this kind of like, it's like a brown berry, is the shade Linger. These 3 shades all wear incredibly well on my nails. So I'm wearing the shade Love, as I mentioned, this like light pink right now. This lasts on my nails before it starts to chip for like 5 days. That is amazing. I even washed my makeup brushes the other day, which I do like twice a year. And I had my hands in warm water for hours and hours. And that was like day 3 of wearing the nail polish, and still no chips, no pilling. I cannot believe how long this lasts on my nails. Seriously, I love my Olive and June nail polishes. You guys know how much I love those. They have such a great color range. Can't really say that about this range because some of the colors are kind of like but these 3 colors are all beautiful, and I think all 3 of these colors last better than many, if not all, of my Olive and June nails. So that's pretty amazing. I mean, I think the Olive and June polishes are $8 or $9. These are like $1.99 a piece. So if you're a nail polish person, go pick these up. They look like gel nails on your nails. Just be careful with the brush. As I feel like I have to mention this every time, because I'm afraid that you go pick these up and you're like, why does Mandy love these so much when they have this crappy brush on them? It's not great. It's a little bit scraggly. The bristles are kind of coarser, more like a toothbrush bristle than like a nail polish bristle. You'll see what I'm talking about if you pick one up or if you've tried these, but the polish itself is incredible. So that is gonna do it. Those are all of the drugstore makeup, or I guess beauty products, that I think are as good, if not better, than my high-end stuff. What do you guys think of this compilation of products? Were you surprised that anything didn't get included inside here? Maybe you were surprised my Wet n Wild pencil didn't make it in. Still a favorite of mine, but I actually don't try a lot of like kohl pencils out from high-end brands. This is kind of in a class of its own. The only other liners that I use are like the Persona liner, which is kind of different than this one. Also like my gel liner, which is also like a different kind of liner. I'd love to know what your selections would be. Do you have makeup products that you think are better than your high-end products, or you think are as good as high-end makeup? I'd love to hear that down in the comments below. Thank you guys for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me give you one last reminder if you are not yet subscribed. I hope you'll do that before you leave, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye. You're so rude.
I'm not rude.
Mocking me.
I'm not mocking you.
What's that smile on your face for?
Just because I knew you would be.
You knew I'd be embarrassed.
It's just admiring your work.
Okay, that would be better for me. Although, Charlie wants to go with the pumpkin patch, though. What time does that start? Oh, it's the Ashens Lash. What?